Welcome back, everyone. Hospitals in Alabama are out of ICU beds as COVID cases continue to rise in that state. BNC's Jamiese Price is live in Mobile, Alabama, where hospitals are above 100% ICU capacity. Good afternoon, Jamiese.
Good afternoon, Laverne. One of those hospitals is at 124% ICU capacity. The national average, about 68%. So that's an indication of how critical this COVID crisis is in Alabama. The situation here is dire. The Alabama Hospital Association is reporting that the state is out of ICU beds. So there are more patients in need of intensive care than there are designated ICU beds. Right now, there's a need for about 26 of those beds. So medical leaders are racing to provide care to critical COVID patients. There are reports medical teams are converting hallways, patient rooms, and emergency rooms into spaces to treat patients in need of those ICU beds. So there are nearly 2,700 confirmed COVID patients in Alabama hospitals, and according to data, 84% of patients are not vaccinated. Critical COVID patients are also packing hospitals across the Deep South where vaccination rates are low. In Mississippi, the state is now turning to emergency field hospitals to handle the surge of patients, and the need for ICU beds in Mississippi is also growing. The state was down to only 7 ICU beds just a few days ago.
The ICU beds are kind of like your checking account. When you overdraw on intensive care unit beds, it's not a good indicator of enough health capacity. So we are making do. The hospitals under the governor's emergency authorization or emergency order are now providing intensive care unit services in other beds and in other areas within the hospital.
Hospitals across the Deep South are also reaching out to the federal government for help. They're dealing with some major staffing shortages in Louisiana, Mississippi, and here in Alabama. You now have disaster medical assistance teams on the ground to help alleviate some of the strain that these hospital staff are dealing with now that the COVID surge here is just really impacting the Deep South. Laverne?
Jamiese, is the Mobile health officer hopeful that we'll see more people getting vaccinated now that the Pfizer vaccine has received the full FDA authorization?
And that is the goal, and he is certainly encouraging people to get vaccinated, but he also pointed out a few issues here in Alabama. We're dealing with school starting, so we're dealing with community spread as it relates to students in school. We are seeing those COVID patients getting younger and younger, those patients that are now in the hospital. We're also dealing with football season here in the South, and we know that football is king in the South, so they are also concerned about people going to those football games and probably not wearing their mask and possibly spreading COVID through community spread. So those are two issues that they're dealing with, but he is certainly hoping more people will get vaccinated. Laverne?
All right, thank you so much for that report, Jamiese.